Okay, so hello, good morning. So this is Changelin, and this is the video for my ATP2 game project Resit. Um, Today's the game that I'm showing is a Love Letter custom rule edition, which is I would like to call a Love Letter Civil War edition or Love Letter Duel edition. So why I call this Civil War edition or Duel edition is because uh, we have to start to introduce the Love Letter first. Love Letter is a pretty simple party game uh, that been produced in 2012. It is a really simple party game. You It has a really basic rule. You keep a card in hand every time every your turn. You draw a card and play a card, which always keep a card in your hands. And the last player who holds the biggest numbers card will win the game. So the rule is real simple, and you have many variety of many games that reference to the love letter. So there was a love letter series game, which is like Star Wars love letter, Marvel love letter, or even Hobbit's love letter, Batman love letter. So this time I borrow the core rule of love letter, and I try to make this party game to uh, two players games, and which makes it more compatible. So for this game, the story is happened in the kingdom. There is an old king, and the king have two sons, which is our players, both our players, and these two players plays both twin, both prince, and as the twin prince, uh, both of them wants to get the crown and take the throne to become the next king. Due to this, the prince started to uh, try to defeating uh, defeat their brother, and basically that's the story. And so right now I will try to introduce the components that the games have. So basically it is really simple. We have like 23 cards, character cards, one combat track cards, and you need to prepare several tokens for marking the scores. And so that's all the components. So right now I will introduce the setup and the rule of the game. So for the setup, you have to find the character cards that with 7s, 6, and 8, and then all the other cards you collect them and make them as a deck, and then you shuffle them and then face them back, draw the top 3 cards. You can also draw 1 or 5. This would change the speed of the game, and which would hugely impact the balance of these 3 cards. So this up to you. In general, I would recommend to discard 3 cards. Then uh, you you can see these secret 3 cards, and they will put aside, and then the rest of 17 cards plus the another 3 card will be your deck in this games. And after that, we prepare several tokens as the score, and a token for the marker. And basically, that's it. That's the whole game setup. Right now, I will try to introduce the rule. So the rule. So first of all, I need to talk about when the game's end. So when the deck is empty and the last player play his card, the game will be end. In the end of the game, uh, the players will need to check the throne tokens, which is this goal. They would need to check their throne tokens number, and the players who have more throne tokens will win this game. And but sometimes people might have both players might have same throw tokens, and after that there will be come to the second judgment, which is you will need to see that which players has the advantage on the war track, and how we define an advantage, which is like we see there's two sides, and which player, and if there is a and if the tokens of the war track is on your side, then you are in disadvantage and the opponent player will win. And if the war track is also the same, which means the token is in the middle spots of the war track card, then the players will need to compare the hands they have. If it is also the same, then the game is draw. But this situation is pretty rare. Mostly, the throne tokens would determine which players will win. And so then let's start the game. So how the game actually runs. So at the start of the game, each player will draw a card, and then the younger player will start the game. And when you start your turn, you draw a card and check both effects. Then you choose a card to play. For example, I decide to play the Legion Generals here. After you play the card, apply this effect. So the Legion General effect is show your hands to let your opponent check. If your opponent have lower value card, then your opponents will need to discard their hands, and then would allow the player who played the Legion General to push to war progress. And if they have higher value card after they told you, the player who played Legion General will need to discard their hand. So for example, I played the Legion General, then I will show the Baron to the opponent. The opponent will secretly check his card because it is a single showing. So I would just check the cards here, and then if the opponents have a less number, then the opponents will need to discard their hands. Allows you to push two level war track. And remember, if and there's a thing, when someone's war track hit the end, then the players will lose the game immediately. So this is another winning condition, which is you can push the war tracks to the end of the opponent's side, then you will win the game immediately. So after we push the war track, the war track will also have another effect, which is every time you push a one war progress, you can get one throne tokens. So because the Legion Generals allow us to push two level war progress, so we would get two tokens. And after the enemy lose their card, they will draw a card immediately, so that they will always have cards in their hand. After that, it will be the opponent's turn. So let's see. The opponent has a ballista, and they will need to draw a card at their start of the turn also. So because of the last card, so he already knew that in my hand there is a Baron. So he tried to use the Baron to trigger the Baron's effect. The Barons have two effects. One is to get one score and trade the cards with the opponent player, but also you can decide to just get two throne tokens, so that you can chase this throne tokens with your opponents, and you can keep the ballista in your hands, and then it will be another player's, and basically that's the rules. And after all the decks runs out, and if there is no players that get eliminated by the war track card, then people will try to check their throne tokens number and to see who will win. So after this, I will try to discuss about like what's the difference in every class, and we will see like what this will bring the difference of these games and the original Love Letter, and how this game fit two players game experience. So wait a second, let me load the games a bit. So in this game we have knight types of card. The first is number 1, the infantry. The infantry card was pretty similar to the original love letter, which is you name a card other than infantry. You name a number, it's also okay. Then if the opponent players have that card, then he would need to discard that card, and you can push one war progress. So basically, this is a really simple card. It would help you to push the war progress and getting some simple score. And also, it is a really good card to focus on those high value cards. Okay, the second card is Ballista. The Ballista is also the evolve edition of the original love letter. The original love letter card will allow you to read the opponent's card, and it is also the same here. You can read the opponent's card. Then the effects that buff this card is if the opponent's card is lower than 3, then you can discard the opponent's hands, and then you can push one war progress. So basically, this card turns to really good cards that focus on those low-level cards. And 3, which is Legion General, as I said, if you can use your hands appropriately and you check you use it appropriately, you will gain amounts of benefits from it. But the sacrifice is, if you lose it, you don't get anything. And the 4 is the Knight. The Knight is also pretty similar to the original love letter, which is provide you some protection. The protections in this game is really significant because in 2 players game, there are amounts of effects will target you, will target the player. So significant protection will help the player to running their strategy in a successful way. But also you can give up the protection effect, but just getting a 1 throne tokens. And the 5th is the Baron, which is what I said already. It is also pretty similar to the number 6 in the original love letter, which is request the player to trade their hands. And right now there is the unique things in my love letter game, which is the 0, 6, 7, and 8. So first of all, let's talk about 0. The 0 is the most simple one. This card is designed for focusing high value cards. So basically, it is weaker version of it is a stronger version of infantry. And after you play this card, the opponent will need to check their cards. If their cards contains cards that are higher than 7, then your opponent's player would need to discard their cards. And what makes it so good is after you did so, you can get 3 throne tokens, and 3 score which is a really high score. Sometimes will determine who will win the game finally. And this is number 6. Then I would talk about the number 6, the Duke. The Duke is a really unique card. This is the card that will change the game totally. So basically, if you hold the Duke, you hold number 6 in your hands to the end of the game, then the winning condition will change to compare the value of hands first. So in this situation, if the opponent's player don't have number 8 or number 7, then you basically confirm you're winning because the Duke is the 3rd biggest card in the game. And then we will talk about the Count, number 7. The number 7 is also a pretty unique card. First of all, you will get 1 throne tokens anyway, but this is not the most simple thing. The most simple thing is he would trigger the effects that the opponent used last round. So these effects makes this card could be any cards in the game besides 6. So and it is also, first of all, it is a good game for counting enemy back. For example, if you lose a combat with number 3, then after you know the opponent's card, you can play the count to strike back to just mimic the Legion General's effect. First thing is like that. The second thing is it is a good counter to the number 8, the king. The king is effects basically just getting throne tokens, which is getting 4 throne tokens, which is the most one. However, with the count, you can copy the king's effect, which is when another player play the king, and you play the count will get 5 throne tokens because first of all you will get 1 throne tokens, then you will copy the king's effect and getting another 4 throne tokens. So the count is also a pretty interesting card in the game. And the final one is the king. The king is probably the most powerful card in the game. You will get 4 throne tokens immediately, and he has the highest value, which makes it a counter to the number 6, the duke. And at the start of the design, the king in fact was just directly get 4 throne tokens. It didn't have any restrictions, so mostly after the players get this card, they will play this card immediately, which makes the card is so strong, but less of lack mechanic. And so for restrict this card's effect, we add a new rule to this card, which is before you play this card, you would need to announce king is here with other cards. For example, I have the king and the ballista in my hands, then I would need to play the ballista first and set king is here and show my king to the opponent's player. Then in next round I will able to play the king. With this rule, the king was forced to delay its play for 1 turn, and secondly, it makes it easier to counter for the cards like infantry or assassin or even baron or the count. So basically, the king is a really strong card, but there are so many limitations that requires you to calculate your usage pretty carefully. So basically, that's all. I designed this game for 2 players experience. I know that Love Letter is not really a game that good for 2 players, but I try to make it that more competitive and have more calculation and more more mind combat, I think, between 2 players. And we have whole like several hours of playtest, and the playtest shows that this game have a lot of it's really balanced. Sometimes it might not be that interesting, but you have so many shining moments that makes you laugh from your heart. So it is not really a bad game. It's a good game for you to try. And so basically, that's all. Thank you for watching.